we're looking ahead to the Stanley Cup playoffs and which team has the most pressure to win the Stanley Cup this year. Obviously, the defending Stanley Cup champs probably, based on the fact that not a lot of teams in the NHL do go on to repeat Stanley Cup. So we'll start in the East Division, and Weeksy, I'll start with you. Of the East Division playoff teams, which of those four has the most pressure to win the Stanley Cup this year, and why?
This week aside, the events of this week aside, I'm still going with the Washington Capitals. Let's go to the nation's capital here in the United States of America. The Caps right in that window. You've got the great Alexander Ovechkin, of course, Nick Backstrom, John Carlson. But here, they also made that big deal for Mantha in place of Vrana. And, of course, this is just a deep team. I love the fact that they brought in, on the back end, big Zdeno Chara to come in there. TJ Oshie is looking like himself. Everything is clicking. Sprong has played well in a depth role. So, too, has Connor Sherry played well in the depth role. So, all things being equal, that's your old stomping grounds, Gabby. I was blown away. We were during Stanley Cup final. The atmosphere was amazing.
It's unbelievable.
I didn't know DC could get that hype for a party. They certainly did. Ovi's got one. I'm sure he's looking for the second one.
I agree that the Caps are being built right now for that, but I believe that there's pressure on the Bruins. I mean, they went out and they got Taylor Hall. They got the prize guy, and they've got their lines moving, and Butch has them playing where they started out not great, but they're picking it up, and they're peaking at the right time. I think they're a team that's, gone to the finals recently. They always end up doing well in the playoffs. But I got to believe that the pressure is on them to get through that first two rounds.
How much pressure is on Pittsburgh, too, just based on the window closing? And
Sure.
You could say the same about Boston and the core players there. Pittsburgh, maybe not the most pressure, but certainly some pressure on them?
Oh, yeah, of course. No question. I mean, they're very much pushing. They've made changes there. They've made moves there. The expectation when you have Sidney Crosby and you have Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang is you're competing for a Stanley Cup every year with that group. That's the mandate internally from people I've spoken to. That's the way they see it.
And you know what? They lost them in the first round in the last 2 years.
Right.
And they were very upset last year with the effort they thought that they gave against Montreal. And now when you got a new president, a new GM coming in, they want to see some success right away, and they've had success since Burke and Hextall got there. So I mean, they'd be very, very disappointed if they didn't make it out of the first round.
All right, a lot of pressure in the East. Maybe no more pressure than the North Division based on the expectations up there and the fact that a Canadian team hasn't won since 1993. So of the four teams in the North Division, who's got the most pressure on them?
Unquestionably, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And listen, this even predates some of the players in the current team, but the only ones that can win it are the players on the current team. So when you think of history, in modern history, it's been very unkind to this franchise. It's a proud franchise. We know they're an iconic franchise, and certainly with Brendan Shanahan at the helm and some of the pieces. Austin Matthews, one of the top 5 players in the world. Mitch Marner right there with him. This team is absolutely stacked. They can make plays, but I think their chances of going deeper this year are aided by the new format in terms of the division and the playoff format. But I also feel Jumbo Joe Thornton, Zach Bogosian, Wayne Simmons, adding jam to that group, TJ Brody on the back end too, certainly helps them. And Jack Campbell's been very good for them too.
Yeah, I think they're taking a page out of Tampa's book. And because they lost to Columbus last year, and they thought, well, how do we get through this? They haven't won a first round since 2004. Yep. And I'm telling you, if Toronto lost in the first round, the city would crumble.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they talk every summer and every winter about the parade down Bay Street, but this is the year that a Canadian team is going to make it to the semifinals, and if it's not the Leafs, I think there will be big trouble in Toronto.
Less pressure, just given the circumstances, and of course we want to see fans back in the building, but the fact that there are fans in the building, is that any less pressure, or is that more pressure on these guys up there?
I think
or
that
it's just status quo. There's always going to be that pressure.
I think there's always going to be that pressure because you have so many spectators that aren't in the buildings, right? Because, and to that point, I mean the amazing fan support that's up there. But this is a huge missed opportunity for the country. It's a missed opportunity, and science is science. And I'm telling you one thing. There's ways to get fans in the building, albeit safely. Players are in the building safely. Staff's in the building safely. This could be a historic season for a Canadian team And unfortunately, you don't have any of the passionate fans in the buildings by way of legislature for them to be able to see it firsthand.
Well, I'm hoping at some point, like, I mean, they may not get the fans in the buildings, but the one thing about Canadian cities is they really have the fans outside the building.
Yeah.
And especially in Toronto, they can put thousands of people. If they lift some of their things that they've got going on up, the restrictions going on up there, the people will be going pretty crazy out there.
Listen. Yeah,
we shall see. Second most Stanley Cups in NHL history with 13, but their last one coming all the way back in 1967. We'll see how it plays out. Certainly all kinds of pressure on the Leafs. How about the Central Division? Who's got the most pressure? Defending Stanley Cup champs, or are you going elsewhere?
I'm going defending Stanley Cup champs. Just the expectations in Tampa are so high. They've got amazing ownership with Jeff Vinik. Braden Point's healthy. Kucherov will be healthy. Steven Stamkos coming back from that knee surgery. He, too, will be healthy and back in the lineup, barring anything unforeseen. And they've got the best goalie in the world and the best defenseman in the world when he's going in Victor Hedman. So down there in the state of Florida, the Sunshine State, that's the expectation. Patty Maroon might have a chance to be the only man in the world to get 3 straight. He's the only man in the world last year that got 2 straight.
Love it. On planet Earth.
He might get 3 straight. But you know what, Gabby? We've been talking about this battle of the Sunshine State with them and the Panthers, Los Panteros. That's going to be a great matchup. You know who Los Panteros is?
No, is it some guy was he on the Lone Ranger? No, listen, you're again wrong. But, I mean, there's no pressure on Tampa. They won the Cup last year.
Right.
If they don't win the Cup this year, it's going, well, maybe we'll get another chance next year. So there's no pressure on them. Okay. The pressure's on the Carolina Hurricanes.
Really?
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you what.
What do you got?
The last 3 years, they've had great teams. They enter the playoffs, and they win the first round, and they go out meekly in the second round. They've got to get at least to the semifinals this year. Or I think they will think it's a lost season. I mean, they've had a great regular season, but it's not going to be nothing unless they get out of the second round this year.
Yeah, we know the results with the reigning President's Trophy winners.
Yep.
You haven't won a President's Trophy winner, hasn't won a cup since 2012, 2013 Chicago Blackhawks, and that was a shortened season. I remember all about that. Sorry about that. Quickly, the West, who's got the most pressure there?
They wear gold for a reason, 24-karat gold. The Vegas Golden Knights, baby, you kidding me? Vegas Golden Knights, why not? You get to the Stanley Cup final in year 1, you touch the sky with your fingernails. Hey, listen, sky's the limit for them. And this team is absolutely stacked. One of the best goalies in the history of the game, Marc-Andre Fleury. An outstanding compliment to him and Robin Lehner. Max Pacioretty, Mark Stone, Mark Chasseau, 2 cup-winning D, and Martinez, of course, in the back end, and also Pietrangelo. So all things being equal, I'm saying them. Who do you got?
Well,
you're on the same page,
wrong
right?
again?
Is he on the same page?
We're on the same page, but I'm on the back side of that page. If it ain't Colorado, the most talented team in the NHL today.
All right.
But they got McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog on the first line, and then they throw that next line. They are so deep, 12 forwards and 6D. The only way they can't come out of the West is if Grubauer gets hurt.
Okay.
Interesting.
I love their squad, too, though. So it's hard to argue. I love that squad.
It's going to be a heck of a second-round matchup if it plays out that way. But you look at the playoff format right now and all the first-round matchups, second-round matchups, it's going to be exciting. So
I like Vegas, too.
yes, just for TV's sake. Yeah. Right? We'll see, all things considered.